Good Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you guys here now. You know, Bitcoin has been on a bit of a tear. It's went up quite a little bit in price. Here's the thing. It's made it up above $7,000. I think it touched like $7,400 for a little while, and now it's backed off, and it's just above the $7,000 mark. It's holding this price. Now, a whole bunch of whales have been moving coins from one wallet to another. They've moved an awful lot of money, value in coins, from one wallet to another. They've been accumulating. They've been buying, and basically what they've been doing is shuffling them into their temporary wallet, and then taking them from their temporary wallet and putting them in their permanent wallet. That's what's going on. These guys, these guys know where Bitcoin's eventually going, and they're getting in, they're accumulating just like these whales are accumulating right now. And that's what's driven the price up as high as it is right now. Huge accumulation of Bitcoin. And it hasn't stopped. What's going to happen, I think, now at this point, I think it's going to level off. And basically it's going to follow a sideways path for the next little while. How long, I don't know. But I hereby declare that I think that the bear market is pretty much over for Bitcoin. And of course, there's going to be more and more excitement coming back into the space because now Bitcoin has become the best performing asset out there. And everybody's looking for yield, you know? And so, as this thing slowly heats up, it's going to head toward the next bubble. I'm going to tell you what. It doesn't really matter that much where you buy in along in this bottom area. If you buy in at I don't know, if you bought in at 3,200, well, good for you, you know. Or if you bought back before the last big bubble that Bitcoin went into, if you bought back then when it was $200 and you still got those coins, good for you, you know. Or if you're buying now for the first time at $7,000. It's now, this is my opinion only, but I think in the end where Bitcoin is actually going, I think where Bitcoin's ultimately going in the end, it's not going to matter too much if you bought in at 3,000 or 7,000 or wherever. That's not going to matter so much. Because Bitcoin is heading to a spot ultimately, probably 5 years from now, where it absorbs an awful lot of the world's value. That's where it's heading. It's actually, they've shut the door on gold and silver, and they've slammed it shut. They got gold and silver basically in jail. Gold and silver can't go anywhere because they got a tightly controlled paper market that controls the actual underlying physical asset. And this is opening the door for Bitcoin to become the new gold, or the new gold for a digital age. This is huge. As Bitcoin takes up this role in this position in the financial system as digital gold, you're not going to see the transaction volumes increasing. Bitcoin doesn't really have to scale. Although the Lightning Network is allowing it to scale a lot better. It doesn't really need the Lightning Network, ultimately. I think the transaction volume is actually going to diminish somewhat. And the 7 transactions a second is enough. It's still cheaper to send Bitcoin than it is to send any of these other fiat currencies from one place to another, or transfer it from one wallet to another. And when you're starting to look at a world where the value of the world's everything, it starts to be transferred into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin becomes worth massive amounts of money, this is the way businesses are going to use to send money from one place to another. The cost is still extremely low. It doesn't matter whether you use a Lightning Network or you use the main chain to send your transaction. Still, the fees are extremely low compared to fiat. And so, ultimately, where we're going to see this thing go, as it absorbs the world's wealth, if it becomes the only asset that's going up in price while everything else is losing money, is searching for a home. And we're not talking about small amounts of money. We're talking about huge amounts of money out there within the system. There's a whole area, you know, on the Greg Hunter show, they had a guest, Catherine Austin Fitz. And, you know, she talked a lot about how there's huge amounts of money out there that's like in the system that's been generated that's like it's not accounted for. It's like money that's out there in the system. I think she said something like 20 trillion. That's not billion. That's 20 trillion, 20,000 billion dollars out there in the system. Now, what do you think is actually going to happen when the system, these dollars start to lose purchasing power and Bitcoin starts to go up in purchasing power? If even a small, tiny fraction of that, of the amount of money that's out there, that's stored in the system, starts to come into Bitcoin, what's actually coming into Bitcoin is not so much the money, but as Bitcoin rises in price, what's coming in there is the world's everything. Everything. See, everything is calculated in dollars. So you look at your house, you say, my house is worth like $200,000 or whatever. My car is worth $10,000. As that value gets transferred into Bitcoin, the purchasing power of one Bitcoin goes higher and higher and higher, and the purchasing power of $1 goes down lower and lower and lower. An awful lot of this money that's searching for a home is going to find its way into Bitcoin. So what's actually going into Bitcoin is not so much the dollars, but the value that the dollars represent. The labor, the land, the houses, the community, everything that we work for, the value is going to be sucked up by Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually acting like a sponge and sucking up this value. Now, we saw Bitcoin move now from like $3,000 to like $7,000 just in the past few weeks. That means that Bitcoin sucked up double. It's doubled in size of the amount of value that is stored in it. And if you guys think it's done, I don't think it's done. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it's done at $7,000. I think it's just starting. I think this whole thing's just getting underway. I think this whole thing has an awful long way to run yet. I think since Bitcoin's inception, if you go back and you take a look back around 2010 or whatever, you know, Bitcoin had almost no value whatsoever. You could have bought them all. You know what I mean? You could have bought an amazing amount of Bitcoin for a couple $1,000s. You know? Now look where it is now. A couple $1,000s doesn't buy you hardly anything. It won't even buy you one coin. Now, you went back to 2010, which is not that long ago. $1,000 would have made you a Bitcoin whale now. So I mean, you got to consider how far this thing has come, and really, when you consider how far it's come already to something that's worth over $7,000 per coin, it's not that much of a stretch of an imagination. See how far it's come already since 2009 until now is about 3/4 of the way there to where it's sucked up all of the world's value. So is it reasonable for us to believe that it's actually going to just stop and disappear now that it's made it 3/4 of the way there and it's charging like a bull? You know? Of course, it's just going to, in my opinion, it's just going to keep right on going until it gets where it's going. And ultimately, where is this thing going, ultimately, in the end? I'll tell you where I think it's going. And I can say it in 3 words. World reserve currency. I think it's going to replace the dollar as the store of value for the entire world for the entire world. This is everywhere in the world. This is not something that's isolated to North America. Bitcoin is everywhere on Earth. If it was a cancer now at this point, it's metastasized through the entire system. I mean, you know, and it's basically this is really insidious, but it's making its way and it's infiltrating into every country on Earth. And if there was a way to really stop it, these countries would have stopped it already. Believe me, they've already been there, done that. Also, if there was a way for hackers to hack it, they would have hacked it already. It's not hackable. Believe me, there's probably in dark rooms someplace all over America, here and there, there's hackers sitting there on their computer. Well, I went and did it. I hit the wrong key on my keyboard, and I cut my video off. Anyway, listen, guys. Have a nice Sunday, what's left of it, and we'll catch you guys in the next film, on the next show, probably tomorrow morning. And we'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye for now.